I don't know if you've noticed, but there sure are a lot of first-person shooters around these days. I mean, you've got Doom, Halo, Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Bioshock, Concord. Yeah, we won't talk about that one. And the less said about X-Defiant, the better. There's my latest dig at Ubisoft out the way. Oh, and there's also this really big one called Call of Duty. You may have heard of it, it is kinda popular. Well, more so back when it was a gritty and somewhat grounded military shooter and not some kind of weird first-person Fortnite knockoff.
What the fuck is that?
But there used to be another 3 words that dominated the conversation whenever FPSs came up. Can you guess what they were? Well, I'll tell you, shall I? Medal of Honor. Yeah, a lot of you young'uns, not that there'll be many watching this video, goddamn skibbity toilet, probably haven't heard of more, but back in the day, before us old fossils became the sick little COD addicts we did, Medal of Honor was one of the premier FPSs, at least in the World War II arena. And why was that? Well, we might as well go back to where it all started and find out. So let's grab our helmets and hand grenades and do just that. But before we do, you know the drill by now, soldier. If you like my content and have yet to subscribe, you better hit that button before I have you running Mount Currahee with a stomach full of spaghetti. Now drop and give me 20.
Ayo, Silver!
So Medal of Honor was developed by DreamWorks Interactive. Yeah, that DreamWorks. You know what that means? That's right, turns out Medal of Honor, the original, was the brainchild of none other than the father of the summer blockbuster himself, Steven Spielberg. Yeah, apparently he got the idea after watching his kid playing GoldenEye 007.
My man.
And thought it would be a good opportunity to teach the younger generation about World War II. Yeah, on PS1. Let's see just how well that went. Oh, and it was also published by Electronic Arts. Yeah, that Electronic Arts. Ugh. But don't worry, this was long before they became the greedy shitmongers churning out live service wank they are now, so we should be okay. So we get started and find ourselves in the operations room or whatever. We start a new game, make ourselves a save profile. Yeah, boom! How'd you like that? That's how you know these motherfuckers are on the ball, and with room to spare. And now it's time to take the fight to old Jerry himself. The story's simple enough. You play as Lieutenant Jimmy Patterson, an OSS operative with a resume about as long as Willem Dafoe's cock if certain, reputable sources are to be believed. And what the hell's the OSS? Why, it's the Office of Strategic Services, basically the US wartime version of MI6 or the CIA. You know, spying, sabotage, that sort of thing. You don't say you don't learn anything on this channel. So yeah, we're World War II James Bond pretty much. And for our first mission, we're dropping into Normandy to find and extract some officer who's gone and gotten himself shot down before Jerry gets his grubby mitts on him. And we also meet the lovely Manon, a member of the French resistance who provides us with valuable intel about our mission.
Listen very carefully. I shall say this only once.
I beg your pardon?
So what exactly is the plan?
I shoot Nazis. They die. That's my plan.
Fair enough. And with that done, it's time to go Wolfenstein on these jackbooted fucks. And of course, the first thing we need to talk about are the controls. See, if you remember all the way back to my review of Men in Black the series Crashdown, yeah, still a great title by the way, then you'll know that first person controls on PS1 were, interesting. Basically, since DualShock came a bit later, all games on PS1 were designed with the original stickless controllers in mind, and so if you try to play them on DualShock with the sticks without adjusting the control scheme, then like I say, things get interesting. See, unlike now where one stick controls the movement and the other controls the camera, back in ye oldie times, if you didn't change the control scheme, then they would pretty much do half and half. One stick controlling half the movement and half the camera, while the other stick controls the other halves, and you've just got to figure out how to use them in tandem with each other. Yeah, I'd love nothing more than to see one of these little COD kiddies sit down with the original Medal of Honor with the controls set to default, and then watch their head explode as they're trying to figure out just how to move and aim correctly. So yeah, if you're gonna play one of these old FPSs on DualShock, I recommend changing the control scheme before you get started, since you can only do it from the main menu. But once you get your head round that archaic shit, to be honest, the controls and movement themselves actually aren't that bad. At least not as bad as the other FPSs we've looked at on PS1. The movement's pretty fast and agile, but still has a bit of weight, so it's not too light and sensitive. It's still got a bit of jank, just cause, you know, PS1. It's pretty easy to get stuck on walls and shit when you're going through tighter areas, but for the most part it's fine. Definitely on the upper end of the scale. The shooting's pretty good too, which, you know, you'd hope, considering it's a fucking shooting game. It's simple enough to do. Just line yourself up with the fascist motherfucker in front of you and press the button to fill him full of lead, which thanks to the aforementioned movement and controls is practically a breeze. I really didn't have that much trouble with it at all, which was honestly kinda surprising, cause again, we all know just how clunky PS1 could be, especially in the first person department. And of course, there's also a precision mode so you can go for headshots and whatnot, and that works pretty well too. Again, it's quick and light without being oversensitive, so it's pretty easy to blow fuckers' brains out. Well, what little there is, cause, you know, Nazis. And you've also got the kind of rudimentary cover system where you can go into precision mode and then use R and L1 to peek in and out of cover, although I never really found much use for it here. But anyway, you just make your way through, blowing away any nationalist socialist prick dumb enough to get in your way. Each mission is divided into several smaller levels, each of which have a couple objectives to complete. So you just fight your way through an occupied village, find the officer who turns out is dead, and I guess you're just like, well, I'm not dragging his dead ass back, so you get his logbook and then escape through the sewers, where now you've got SS officers and vicious dogs to deal with. Yeah, that's some black shuck demon dog shit right there.
Zool, motherfucker, zool!
Oh, and it's got the same annoying shit as in GoldenEye 007, where if you get to the end of the mission without completing all your objectives, you can still exit the mission, but then it'll be like, yeah, you finished the mission and all, but you didn't do this, this, and this, you daft fucker. Now get back to the fucking beginning and do it right. Dumbass. And again, it's just like, why? I mean, at least here it tells you when you're about to leave a mission if you haven't done everything, but why not just make it so you can't leave at all? I don't get it. I mean, just cause you were inspired by GoldenEye 007 doesn't mean you have to keep everything from it, even the dumb shit. You know you can come up with your own dumb shit without leeching off them, right? Which, to be honest, they do, and we'll find out about very soon. But anyway, you make it to the end, making sure to do everything you're supposed to, and there you go. Then it's on to the next mission. And guess what, guys? This was where things started to get annoying. Yeah, only the second mission. Man, they're speedrunning this shit, aren't they? But yeah, we're going all in with the spy shit this time, cause now we've got to go undercover as a German officer. Yeah, like this guy could pass for a German officer. Look at him, he looks like he shits red, white and blue. But yeah, I guess they're doing the same thing as in The World's Not Enough, where they figured all the shooty bang bang wouldn't take long to get repetitive, so they threw in stuff like the casino and mansion levels to break things up. But if you remember all the way back to that video, you'll know that while, yeah, they did break up the repetition, they weren't all that fun either. They were mostly just annoying, which, yeah, is pretty much the case here as well. Anyway, we're now undercover as Captain Wilhelm Hans Gruber von Schwossenhofen, yeah, that'll do, to destroy some giant artillery cannon or some shit, and we've just got to go around this area and complete a bunch of objectives without raising the alarm. But then at a few points, you'll come to doors that are under guard, and if you don't have the right ID, then they'll be like, "Nine, you do not have the necessary clearance, you cannot come in." So then you've got to go hunting around for the correct ID. And apparently the soldiers of the Third Reich all have the memory of a goldfish with Alzheimer's, since they can turn you away and then you can literally come back a couple minutes later with the right ID, and they'll just be like, "Sure, come on in, even though you look nothing like the guy in the picture." Oh, and I like this little they do when you show them the ID. Like they're thinking, didn't I just see this prick a moment ago? And why doesn't he look like the guy here? Yeah, whatever. I don't get paid enough for this shizer. But it's not the end of the world if you do get the alarm raised on you. You don't fail the mission or anything.
Of course not. This is no video game, Fisher.
But you will get tons of bad guys coming after you, to the point where you'll most likely just get overwhelmed and turned into General Mince Patton. Yeah, don't blame me for that one. Blame ChatGPT. But yeah, the objectives are pretty standard. Just nick some IDs, some plans and shit, blow up some other shit. Simple enough. And I like that when you've got to blow something back to the Stone Age, you just press a button and old Jimmy will just pull a stick of dynamite out of his arse and you don't have to waste time fucking around with any inventories or shit like in The World's Not Enough. Yeah, you thought I'd forgotten about that shit, didn't you? But I haven't. Time doesn't heal everything, you know. Oh yes, that's just one of the things it'll never heal. Then after that, you go full mask off and have to fight your way along the train tracks to get to the main cannon. And even though we now get back to the actual good stuff, this bit was still a little annoying. See, while you do have a decent selection of weapons, all the classics like the M1 Garand, MP40, Thompson, BAR, etc., and can carry most of them at once, you can't carry two weapons of the same type, like you can't carry a Tommy gun and an MP40 at the same time, nor can you swap one for the other, which is fine, for the most part. But it was annoying here because they give you this big ass fucking sniper rifle, which the game considers to be just a regular rifle, meaning you can't pick up any others. So if you want to shoot enemies what are a little way back, but not too far away, then you've pretty much got no choice but to fuck around with the sniper rifle, aiming down the scope, which is pretty slow, all the while you're getting shot all over. Why couldn't they have just put the sniper rifle in its own category? And you can also get on the just big generic machine gun turrets you'll find at various points along the way will let you mow down anyone dumb enough to step in front of you, which they will, every time for some reason, and you wonder why you lost.
However did they win?
And while we're on the subject of weapons, you can also get grenades, although I didn't find myself using them all that often, since they're pretty much useless. I mean, just watch this. Fire in the hole! Oh, come on, what was that? That was pathetic. What, can you not throw something? Aren't you meant to be a red-blooded American boy? Ain't you ever played baseball? I thought you guys came out the womb with a glove on one hand and a ball in the other. Oh dear, is that a stereotype? Well, apparently the OSS thought it as well, since he actually designed a grenade shaped like a baseball because they thought it would be easier for American troops to throw. Yeah, that actually happened. And that's not even the craziest shit they came up with. Look up bat bombs. But yeah, pretty much every time you frag out, it usually doesn't go anywhere near far enough to do damage. And the times it does, the bastards either just run away out of range or throw it back at you before it's got a chance to go off. So yeah, I rarely ever bothered with the grenades, to the point where in some missions I would end up lugging around like 50 of the damn things. I guess he must just be storing them in the same warm dark place he keeps his infinite supply of dynamite. Anyway, you blow up the big railway gun thing and it's on to the next mission. And I guess the thought after that would all be like, man, that was so much fun! I wish we could do it again! Cause, yeah, they give us another undercover mission straight after, just for some reason. You know, you could have at least split them up a bit, right guys? But yeah, it's just more of the same, except this time you've got to blow up a giant boat. Wait, what? Oh, a giant boat. Right, I knew that. And again, you're just going around half-inching ID badges to get into different areas, but this was where things got really annoying. See, not only do you have to show your ID to the wankers guarding the doors, but also just about every other random fucker who's just wandering around, and this level's crawling with the bastards. And yeah, some of them will just ignore you, but then you'll have others who literally just stop you in the middle of the corridor and be like, show me your papers now! And I didn't mention it before, but you've got to be pretty fucking quick off the mark to show them that shit. Seriously, if you take longer than like a second to get it out, like if you press the wrong button or something, then they'll be like, you're a spy, and open fire on you. And I'm just like, no, I'm not a spy, I've just got dyspraxia. Although to be honest, they'd probably want to kill me for that as well. But speaking of disability, did I mention these fuckers have memories like sieves? I'm sure I did. Didn't I? But oh, you haven't seen the half of it yet, mate. See, you don't just have to show your ID to these wankers once and they'll be cool. Nah, you have to show it literally every single time you cross paths with these pricks. Seriously, you can show them your pass and they'll be fine, but then you can walk by them a minute later and they'll literally be like, I've never seen you before, who are you? And then you've got to fuck around showing your ID to make the arsehole get off your back again. I mean, is the entire German army just made up with fucking Dory from Finding Nemo or something? I always thought that fish had a strong anti-Semitic streak. It's the Disney connection what tipped me off. And it might not have been quite so bad, but sometimes after showing them, they'll literally say, it won't happen again, sir. Only for it to happen again about a minute later. I mean, come on! Now you might be thinking, this can't be a very big problem. I mean, it's not like you're going to be going back and forwards a lot through these levels, right? Well, wrong fuckface, cause no, you actually do find yourself going back and forth quite a bit. Cause once you've done one thing, you'll check your objectives and turns out the next thing is all the way on the other side of the map, so then you've got to drag your ass back over there, again past all these fuckloids. And you've really got to remember where the guards are, cause you can easily walk past one on your way back through and they'll be like, show me your papers! And you've barely got enough time to turn your ass around and show them before they're like, intruder, raise the alarm! So yeah, you pretty much just gotta walk around with your ID out at all times ready. Hell, just do a Nazi salute with that shit. Now that I think about it, maybe that's what it was for all along, cause I could never remember who anyone was. And yeah, I know AI and shit was a lot less sophisticated back then than it is now, but you would have thought that at least be able to program a game to remember who you've shown your ID to and who you haven't. Yeah, it just made these missions so fucking tedious and annoying to the point that they just weren't fun whatsoever. I mean, at least when they did that stupid shit in the world's not enough. 1, you only had to show your ID to certain guards, and 2, they didn't have the memory of a demented ostrich, and that was only a year after this. I mean, if the game can remember your checkpoints and shit, it should be able to remember this, right? Oh wait, it can't! That's right, it's another one without any checkpoints. Just, what the fuck are we doing in 1999 and we still don't have any fucking checkpoints? I mean, I've said it before, if Crash Bandicoot could manage that shit back in 96, then why not this? Hell, your previous game, Small Soldiers, had them, so what's your excuse here? What, did you just forget or something? Or were you just like, okay, what do we want now next game? Well, you know those checkpoint things we had in Small Soldiers what made the game easier and more fun to play? Yeah, we gotta get rid of that shit. Get it in the fucking bin. So yeah, if you fuck up showing your ID and shit kicks off and you get killed, then you've gotta go right back to the start again. And even though the missions are split into smaller parts, they are still pretty long, so if you get killed later into them, you'll often have quite a bit of ground to make back up. So yeah, this is another one where if you're playing on an emulator, I highly recommend you use save states. And if you're not, well then, don't get hit. But anyway, you blow up Das Boot and it's on to the next mission. And yeah, that's the game. There's no real story, you just go on more missions to wreck more of Mr. Hitler's shit.
Wir können den Gruppenführer Fegelein nirgendwo finden. Ist nicht in der Bunkeranlage.
Was soll das heißen? Sie können Fegelein nicht finden. Dann suchen Sie ihn hin. Ich will Fegelein sehen. Sofort! Wenn er sich ohne Befehl entfernt hat, ist das Fahnenflucht. Verrat! Bringen Sie mir Fegelein! 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 Fegelein!
Shut up.
You don't take part in any of the major engagements of the war or anything. There's no storming of Omaha Beach or the Battle of the Bulge. Battle of the Bulge, which I guess is understandable. I mean, it's not like the poor little PS1 had the processing power or whatever to have loads of NPCs on screen, so you couldn't really have big battles and shit. I mean, the most enemies you fight at once is no more than like 3 or 4, so I guess really this was the best they could manage. Mission 5. Destroy Tesla dealership. Wait, what? What's that doing in here? One thing I was impressed by was how detailed the combat was, at least in terms of how the enemies react to having super fast bits of metal pumped through their bodies. Like they'll react differently depending on where you shoot them. You can shoot their helmets off, you can wound them, they'll stumble and fall but then keep on fighting, they'll crawl around on the ground. Yeah, obviously it's not hugely sophisticated or detailed by today's standards, but it does help make the combat and gameplay feel a little more lifelike and realistic. And beyond the fact that it's got a memory with more holes in it than a block of Swiss cheese on a gun range, the AI is actually pretty smart. Well, some of the time at least. They'll take cover, blind fire, melee you if you get too close, or just retreat to create distance. They'll throw grenades at you, and like I said, even throw your own back, the cheeky fuckers. Yeah, it honestly is pretty impressive for back then. Well, like I say, some of the time. Hello? Oh, someone's getting a court-martial for sleeping on the job. Yeah. Hello? Yeah, looks like some things don't change after all. Hello? You alright, mate? Yeah. The graphics are fine enough for the time, though they're still not that great. Although I think that's more to do with the fact that they obviously went for a much more grounded and realistic look, which at this stage in the evolution of 3D graphics just didn't look as good as the brighter and more cartoony titles around back then. Although I guess it's understandable. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't think the whole gritty World War II setting would hit quite as hard if it looked like fucking Croc or Ape Escape or something. Yeah, I think that would undermine the seriousness of the whole thing just a bit. But even though the graphics aren't strictly gorgeous and the art style is a little muted, it does lend itself well to the setting and subject matter. Well, except for the fact that it looks like the whole game's taking place inside a bauble on a Christmas tree or some shit. I mean, what the hell's going on with the sky? I don't know about you, but I don't remember ever looking up on a starry night and seeing a bunch of multicoloured MS Paint sprites all over the place. Well, there was that one time back in Amsterdam, but never mind that. Oh, and the character models aren't that impressive either.
You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece.
Yeah, they're just not up to the same level of realism as GoldenEye 007, at least in my humble opinion. The voice acting's fine as well. What there is, there's not a whole lot. You never speak. Yeah, I guess we're actually playing as Claude from GTA or something.
That mute asshole?
Most of the dialogue comes from the general or whatever when he's explaining the missions, and he's fine enough, I guess, at least for the time. He's your typical Yankee Doodle Dandy greatest generation kind of guy. Apart from him, the only other voices are from those nasty old Germans. No offense to any Germans watching, you know what I mean. And they're passable, I suppose, for back then at least. I mean, they wouldn't fly these days. They're no better than the daft accents I was doing earlier.
Hallo?
American scout! We have meet here in civilian!
The soundtrack's fine enough. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say on the presentation front. It's all fine, pretty much. It's serviceable. It does the job. But yeah, it's the kind of soundtrack you'd expect from this type of game. It's your typical orchestral score, done by Michael Giacchino. Yeah, he's done tons of stuff. It's got the quiet, tense bits for when you're trying to be all stealthy, and then loud, bombastic pieces for when shit's going down. And like I say, it's decent enough. But I suppose the most important question is, does this game provide a clear and informative lesson about the largest and most far-reaching conflict in human history?
No.
Yeah, big shock there. I mean, according to this, they just dropped in this T-1000 motherfucker to single-handedly destroy the entire Nazi war machine. I mean, who is this guy? Fucking Steve Rogers or something? Why don't they just drop you on Berlin and let you slaughter all the fuckos at the top? We could have had this whole war over in 2 seconds. Why bother with an atom bomb when you can just send in BJ Blazkowicz over here? But obviously I am being facetious here, and you can't really blame them if it's not the most accurate portrayal of World War II. I mean, it is a video game for one, and two, like I say, it's not like there was a whole lot they could have done on PS1. Anyway, it's now time for the final mission, where we're dropping into the fatherland itself to take out a V2 rocket plant. And it's pretty much the same as everything that's come before. You just make your way through, slaughtering everything that moves like it's the end of Commando or some shit. Which is a more apt description than you might initially think, since in the later levels, half the enemies now have fucking rocket launchers and shit, which they're worryingly trigger happy with. Seriously, they'll fire them indoors, and from barely like 6 feet away as well. So now you've got to keep an eye out, cause you can literally just be going along and then you'll suddenly just drop down dead cause some sneaky fucker with a Panzerschreck got a lucky hit on ya. Oh, and there ain't no pussy ass scientists at this facility like in GoldenEye 007, where they'll throw up their hands and be all like, oh please, please don't kill me, I've got a wife and kids. Kill them instead. Nah, these mad bastards will just grab themselves a machine gun and go all Tony Montana on you as well. But while we're again on the subject of GoldenEye 007, compared to this, I'd say that GoldenEye's definitely superior on the graphics and music fronts, while gameplay wise, I think I prefer this a little more. The movement and combat just felt a little tighter and easier to control, which made the game just that bit more enjoyable to me. There are a few things that GoldenEye did better, like there's a greater variety of weapons, and I think the missions and objectives were a bit more varied, so overall it was a little more interesting there, but ultimately I think this just played a bit better. So anyway, you sabotage the rocket and make it crash, all the scientists come running out like, no, my life's work! They all get blown up, poor bastards.
The Nazi bastards, they don't deserve sympathy.
And then, yeah, okay. Is something gonna happen? Oh, okay. Fair enough. And yeah, we won, I guess. Hooray! So that was Medal of Honor on PS1, and if this guy looks and sounds familiar, it's Dale Dye. He played Colonel Sink in Band of Brothers, among various other roles. Yeah, he's an actor and former soldier who also runs a boot camp that helps train actors for military roles, and he was also a technical advisor for the game. Yeah, I guess the developers decided to give the boot camp a go as well. Yeah, I wonder how well that went. But anyway, Medal of Honor. To be honest, it's been a while since I had this much fun with one of these old games. Yeah, I've enjoyed a lot of the other stuff I've looked at recently, but I don't know if I'd ever go back to them just to play. But I could easily see myself coming back to this just for fun, The combat's fun and engaging, the movement and shooting feel good and function well and don't take long to get used to, and overall it's just an enjoyable experience. Yeah, the undercover missions are annoying as fuck and the AI can be a bit hit and miss, and the presentation side is just kind of standard, but none of it's really enough to drag the game down that far. It's definitely the best FPS we've looked at on PS1, and you can clearly see why Medal of Honor would go on to become the big name it did, at least for a while. Yeah, these days, if you look up lists of the most popular FPSs, the words Medal of Honor are nowhere to be found, and there's a pretty good reason for that. 3 words: Call of Duty, specifically Modern Warfare. Yeah, Medal of Honor was mostly on top when they were both World War II shooters, but once COD went all modern and shit, that was all the little kiddies gave a shit about. Believe me, I was there. Hell, I even remember at school kids saying World at War was shit because it went back to World War II. Boy, were they wrong about that. But anyway, Medal of Honor would then try their hand at Modern Warfare in 2010, and even though it got relatively decent reviews, by then we were all too hopelessly addicted to COD to give a shit. I mean, I never played it, and I don't know anyone who did. Nowadays, the franchise is pretty much dead. Yeah, they did a sequel, but that didn't do any better, and then they did some daft VR game in 2020, but who gives a fuck about that shit? Clearly not many, since they haven't done anything else since. And with EA still only being concerned with the dollar signs in front of their eyes and COD still being king, yeah, I know that's debatable, I don't see Medal of Honor making a return anytime soon. But hey, never say never, right? But if you never had a chance to experience the original, or hell any of the other titles in the series pre-2010, then by all means give them a go, you should have a good time. And that's about it. So that was my review of Medal of Honor on PS1. Once again, I've got to apologise for the lateness of the video. If you haven't seen, I'm dealing with some personal stuff which has taken up the majority of my time, so I don't have as much to work on videos, which unfortunately is going to continue for a while yet, so I can't say how long it'll be until the next one's up. So again, apologies for that. But anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then leave a like. If you didn't, then
Shut up.
we're still trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy my content and have yet to subscribe, then I would very much appreciate if you would do so. And as always, thank you so much to everyone who already has. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.